Hey everybody, this is Mattie with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're having a fine day and a terrific start to your week. We're taking a look here at altcoinbuzz.io with a new initiative that's been offered by Mr. Luke Lammers. So Newsflash, this was the news. As you guys know, there's so much happening in the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain. It can be difficult to keep up with. And especially lately, there have been a lot of big stories. So what Luke has done here is he's created a little bit of a cheat sheet for the most important stuff that's been going on in the space. You got news of Coinbase, you got news of Bitcoin ETFs, Robinhood, John McAfee, Litecoin, and TokenPay. So all this kind of stuff is just provided in a neat little package, a nice news summary. And to the extent that we're going to have like really hectic phases like this in the future, which I'm sure we will in the crypto space, we're going to continue rolling this out for all you in the altcoin buzz army. We'll have these little news flashes that I think will help us all along in terms of dealing with this news. It's like drinking from a fire hose sometimes. I'm sure you will agree. But today we're looking at really one main story, and we're going to go back to July 13th by this article by Christopher, who writes about a great study that was conducted. So it's Deloitte's 2018 Global Blockchain Survey, and it was a very revealing piece just looking at the future of blockchain as it relates to businesses and the way that the major businesses, not only in North America, but around the world, are bracing themselves and are investing in their blockchain infrastructure. So from Christopher's article, while not quite ready for prime time yet, blockchain is getting closer to its breakout moment with every passing day. So Deloitte's 2018 survey of more than 1,000 blockchain-savvy executives globally is a leading indicator of where blockchain is headed. While Deloitte is saying that the blockchain is not quite ready for prime time, it is getting closer to its breakout moment every day. The momentum is shifting from a focus of learning and exploring the potential of the technology to identifying and building practical business applications. So the survey was fielded across the US, Canada, Mexico, UK, Germany, France, China. 23% of the respondents are operating within the financial sector, 18% within technology or media or communications, and 14% within the consumer products and manufacturing industry. So here's a look at the survey itself. Well, I should say the report that was conducted after reviewing the results of the survey. This is a pretty big document. It's almost 50 pages, but you can see here it's very nicely presented. It's nicely split up. You can find a table of contents if you want to just go after the individual parts of it that are most interesting to you. But we'll definitely include a link. You can download this PDF and take a look at everything in its entirety. As you can see here, Canada, you have 103 respondents, almost 300 from the US, 150 from the UK, 132 from Germany, and over 200 from China. So if you do have the time and you're interested in the nitty-gritty, you want to go through all the meticulous details, I would encourage you to download the PDF. We're going to have links to everything, of course, in the description. But again, the full PDF, the full report is about, well, it's just shy of 50 pages. So we're here now on Deloitte's website, and courtesy of them, we have a little bit of an executive summary, I suppose, of the major points of the survey. So again, more than 1,000 global blockchain-savvy executives from 7 countries and 9 industries were sampled, and it's a good indication of, from really some of the top performers, what's happening. So as more organizations put their resources behind this emerging technology, we expect blockchain to gain significant traction as its potential for greater efficiency, support for new business models, and revenue sources are enhanced, and enhanced security are demonstrated in real-world situations. The survey report also contains various industry and regional perspectives covering the following specific areas. So the industries include financial services, healthcare and life sciences, the public sector, technology, media, telecommunications, and again, the countries that were surveyed, that were explored. Countries in Asia, you have Canada, and countries in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So taking a look further down here, you can see some of the questions. In which of the following industries does the organization you work primarily operate? You have a majority of organizations, not an overwhelming majority, but you have 23% that are from the financial services industry. So that's where, again, the majority, 23% majority of respondents hail from. We already took a look at some of the countries that were observed. You can take a look at Deloitte's stance on where blockchain is today, where it's going. You have some different key takeaways here: theoretical versus practical, enterprises versus emerging disruptors, current versus future state. And the bottom line, what do they have to say? When looking at the insights developed from our 2016 survey, the data suggested that blockchain adoption and its move into production would have happened at a faster pace than we have seen so far in 2018. Still, even though blockchain is rolling out in a more moderated fashion than expected, its adoption remains promising. The view further down the road is an inspiring one. Here we go. We see blockchain enabling a completely new level of information exchange both within and across industries. As connections are made between blockchain and other emerging technologies, particularly the cloud and automation, we see the potential for blockchain to help organizations create and realize new value for businesses beyond anything we can imagine with existing technologies. Okay, so the rollout has been a little bit more moderate, a little bit slower than anticipated based on some of their previous findings. But that's a pretty enthusiastic outlook for the future, if I do say so myself. Pretty encouraging to hear from Deloitte. So going back to Christopher's article now, the survey shows that respondents are extremely bullish on blockchain potential. Again, namely its ability to broadly scale and reach mainstream adoption. 84% agree that blockchain technology is broadly scalable and will eventually achieve mainstream adoption. So Deloitte expects blockchain technology to gain, quote, significant traction as more and more organizations dedicate their resources to blockchain projects and realize how it can improve their business processes with competitive advantages and cost savings. Deloitte further says that they see blockchain enabling a new level of information exchange within and across industries. With automation and cloud computing, they see the potential for blockchain to help organizations create and, quote, realize new value for businesses beyond anything we can imagine with existing technologies. Again, I just think that's worth reiterating and repeating because that's a very, very promising way to close out the results of this multinational survey with some of the top leaders in business. And guys, we did go through this the other day. I just kind of, really included this as an appendix item. I didn't explore it in much detail, but there's a great article by Forbes from now, it's almost 2 weeks ago that it was put out, but nothing has changed here information-wise. So big blockchain, the 50 largest public companies exploring blockchain. We really just ran through this very quickly, but all of these companies are in the multi-billion-dollar club as far as, in some cases, the tens of billions and even hundreds of billions club. So you have some major financial powerhouses in the United States, but also in China. Take a look. Tencent is on this list. American Express, of course, MetLife, Facebook, Microsoft, and others, Prudential. And we have a new company that is perhaps eyeing cryptocurrency in general. They've just created a task force for crypto today. Basically, the news has broke. We're going to come to that in a second. You have IBM, you have Ford, you have all kinds of different companies. And as you move towards ING, Goldman Sachs, these are the biggest of the biggest players. As you move toward the end of the list, what I find really interesting is you start to really pick up on a certain pattern. There's something that's very obvious, that's very noticeable, is that some of the biggest players at the top of this list are all in the banking industry, and especially the banking industry actually overseas in China. So looking at number 9, you have Bank of China, $118.15 billion in sales. Apple, almost $50 billion in sales. They're not a bank, I realize that, but that's just the trend. There are exceptions. Wells Fargo, $102 odd billion. Bank of America, again, $102 billion. At number 5, we talked about these Chinese banks the other day, how massive they are. And check out the top 5. Agricultural Bank of China with $129 billion in sales. Berkshire Hathaway, $235 billion in sales. JP Morgan Chase, $118 billion. China Construction Bank with $143 billion. And then you have, at number 1, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, $165 billion in sales. So these are all companies, again, guys, that are actively exploring the blockchain. I'm sure in some cases you have many executives from these organizations that were contacted, that were in touch with Deloitte for that particular survey. So look, if you're in the billions of dollars, the tens of billions, or the hundreds of billions of dollars in annual sales club, you're looking to adopt technology that's going to help your bottom line. And even percentages off of some of those figures are fortunes. And if you can save some of that money with better tech, then believe me, you're signing up for that better technology. Tangentially related to this report on some of the biggest companies exploring blockchain and cryptocurrency, this is just something pretty interesting. It's been floating around my LinkedIn network for quite a while now. Everybody just seems to be posting this almost on a daily basis. And you can see it's a great infographic looking at 50 plus blockchain real world use cases. So it's everything from energy to journalism to supply chains to healthcare to insurance to finance, of course, real estate, advertising, all kinds of great content here. This was put out by, we'll give him full credit, Matteo Gianpietro Zago. So great piece, great little infographic here that's been really making its way around the world. If you want to take a deeper look at this, of course, there's a lot of information densely packed into this image. We will link to this, of course, in the description below. And you all out there in the Altcoin Buzz army may have noticed that there's been a pretty strong uptick in terms of crypto prices today. Rumor has it that it's been sparked by news out of Blackrock, which is beginning an exploration into a cryptocurrency and blockchain team. It looks like they've commissioned a task force of professionals to explore the possibility of potentially Bitcoin ETFs, exchange traded funds. Who knows? But this is massive news because Blackrock is a $6.3 trillion powerhouse. These guys are massive. So even the hint of the sniff of a rumor is obviously going to move prices in the crypto market. Now, we're not going to dive too deeply into this. I'd like to let this story marinate a little bit because we really don't know a whole lot about it at the moment. But as of right now, you do have reports out of Financial News London that suggest that BlackRock are looking into Bitcoin trading and creating a cryptocurrency dedicated team. Let's keep an eye on this. Most likely we'll come back to it in tomorrow's news. Just want you to keep all these things in mind, guys, because here's a really nice piece that was actually forwarded to me from another member of the Altcoin Buzz team. So, dear cryptocurrency investors, they're trying to trick you. So what Chris does here, you can check out his profile if you like on Hacker Noon. We're reading this. What Chris is describing here is the fact that really, if you look at what's happening behind the scenes, if you take into consideration all of these details that we discussed in this global Deloitte survey, if you take a look at those 50 mega corporations that are investing in blockchain, that are doing their damnedest to make sure that they're getting the most out of this and they're investing in that infrastructure. So here's a look at the boys club. I think looks like you have Ronald Reagan here. You have George W. Bush, the was it 42nd president of the United States, or 41st, my mistake. If you look at what's happening here, you have the fact that a lot of people behind these scenes are pulling strings. And we have every reason to distrust what's coming out in terms of the FUD. So Chris gives the example of George Hurst, who is actually a very wealthy mining mogul. And he actually went so far as to buy up the media back in his day. He bought up the newspapers and he spread his own negative rumors. He spread his own FUD to make sure that people were off put and they had the wrong information available. And then when that FUD spread and it was widespread enough, he bought up the infrastructure, he made his deals and bought for pennies on the dollar. That was his modus operandi. That's how he did it, by spreading fake news. Fake news is nothing new, guys. And what Chris is suggesting here is the fact that cryptocurrency, we're seeing a similar parallel in today's world where you have all these giants, all these massive industries and all these corporations. You have individuals. Look what's happening here. You have Bloomberg, you have Facebook. Coinbase launches its custodial services for large institutional investors with minimum $10 million buy-in. Goldman Sachs, George Soros, Andreessen Horowitz. You have the Rockefeller family venture capital firm is now set to be getting into cryptocurrency. You have all these examples, and now BlackRock. Again, that's speculation for the time being, but can you imagine if BlackRock actually does make a move? So what Chris is suggesting is that one of the best indicators when it comes to investing is to look at where the smart money is going. What's happening right now with the smart money behind the scenes? Well, guys, they are bracing themselves and they are preparing their infrastructure. They want to profit. They want to make all kinds of money. The best way for them to make the most money is to get them first to convince you that this is a dead space, that there's no future in it. That allows them to buy up the funds and the projects for pennies on the dollar. So not financial advice, guys and girls out there in the Altcoin Buzz army, but it's a very interesting perspective. We will, of course, link to this article in the description below. So with that, guys, I invite you to check out Altcoin Buzz News. Make sure you're following on Twitter if you're not already, to keep up to date with all the latest developments in the crypto space. Like I said earlier, sometimes it's like trying to drink out of a fire hose. I mean, it's coming fast and thick, and it's just hard to keep up these days. If you like this video, guys, do be sure to like it, leave us a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and click the bell to get notifications. If you choose to invest, I wish you happy investing. We will see you again soon, very soon, in a new video. Take care.